ECG extravaganza.
Okay, we are almost done this relentless crusade through the PQRST and normal stuff. So we're just going to wrap up with the T-wave. The T-wave follows the ST segment, which kind of makes sense. And it can be of a lot of different shapes. Normally it's going to be upright and symmetrical. That's what it should look like normally. But a lot of different disease states can actually change what the T-wave looks like. It can be super tall and peaked. It can be flat. It can be flipped over. For instance, if you see T-wave, it can go down like this as well. But that's something we'll cover off later on when we talk more about disease states and look for signs of ischemia and whatnot. And we'll talk about why or how the T-wave can flip over. The purpose of the T-wave, or not the purpose, but why it's there, is a reflection of ventricular repolarization. So there's still a current flow that's going on, but instead of it being depolarizing the myocardial tissue like the QRS, this is where the ventricles are repolarizing. They're resetting themselves so that they can fire again in the next cycle. And that repolarization creates a current flow, mostly to do with potassium. Calcium, sodium, all these things flow, but that's pretty much the most of it. So the T-wave goes normally pointing up, should be symmetrical, and it shouldn't be too high or too peaked or anything like that. We'll talk about disease states later. The last thing, so I don't have to make a separate video on it, is basically this segment here is generally called the TP segment. So between the T and the start of the next cardiac cycle where we go back to the P wave. And that just changes length depending on the time that your heart rate. So if your heart rate is quite slow, you're going to have a long segment here. If it's quite fast, then that's going to be very short, that time in between the T wave and the P wave. And that pretty much wraps it up for a normal PQRST. What we're going to do is we're going to get into some pathology. We'll start looking at actual interpretations in terms of heart blocks and hypertrophy and all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff. So stick with me. Hope you're having fun. We will keep it going in other videos. See you soon.